Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Splinterlands Town Hall. It is the very first day of February 2024. Although I guess for some of our players on the other side of the world, it may be the second day of February for them. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of the things that are going on in Splinterlands. We have on with us Investigator and Nate Aguila. I still don't pronounce it right. I'm just gonna say Nate the
Aguila,
Great.
but that's
Aguila.
okay. Nate is sufficient.
Yeah. Um, you should have an easy to pronounce name like Yabap Matt.
I'll talk to my parents about that.
Thank you. Um, so yeah, before we get into some of the stuff that I was going to talk about, I typically turn it over to Investigator to tell us about what we can expect for the upcoming release.
Okay, good evening, at least evening here. We've got a lot of stuff since we've moved to a 2-week release cycle. I'll try to go through this in sections. So for gameplay updates, we have a new rule set coming out, which we're talking about. I think Nate's going to share the icon and we'll let people guess what they think it is once we get to Nate showing some eye candy. We've made some changes to fix some issues where Dispel would inappropriately remove stat debuffs as well as stat buffs. And we fixed an issue with tactics where the opponent was playing an alpha summoner. It would cause an error on the display and not show the battle initially. It would still resolve, but it would basically skip through the tactics phase incorrectly. For land updates, we have a new regional resource history coming out. So off of the regional overview, you'll be able to go in and see your history of grain research and SPS in the different regions. It's basically a version of the currency activity display, but for land resources. There's also a couple smaller changes. We're going to be taking the taxes out of the grain per hour display so that it is the after taxes amount, which has been confusing for some people that they're getting less than is displayed. We're also putting in a fix that if you change out a monster that has the same production in the old monster and the new monster, so it's a zero-sum production change on your plot, it won't force an auto harvest. Minor detail. We do have some good news for people that participated in the Soul Keep presale. Apologize for the delay, but we are going to be releasing the airdrop of titles for users that bought more than 500 packs during the presale, as well as awarding a custom profile avatar to same players that bought more than 500 packs during the presale. I think we were originally hoping to time this with the release of the game, but that has been delayed longer than we would like. And we have a lot of general game updates. So we will be adding in pre-proposals to the site, which has been something that Claiborne has been asking us to do to make it easier to get visibility for pre-proposals. So along with that, some of the displays for voting results has been updated. There are a large number of improvements to the collections page. We have added a last played date that will be visible on the card details display when you go into your list of cards. Locking cards, unlocking cards, canceling unlocking cards, listing cards for sale or rent, and unlisting cards for sale or rent, and undelegating can now be done on groups of cards from the collection view. So you can select a whole bunch of cards and then click undelegate or list for sale, and it will process them all in a single transaction, so you don't have to try to go through one at a time. A much needed quality of life improvement. A lot of the icons are now also color coded. So if a rental has been canceled, it will show up as a red icon. Seasonal and daily rentals have slightly different tints on them. We also improved the tooltip information, so the rental duration and price will now show up as part of tooltips if you go and look at your rental information as if you were going to cancel it. We made some performance improvements to updating people's collections when a card is gifted, delegated, or rental ends. Uh, as Cryptomancer has been talking about in our Discord, you'll be able to combine unstaked cards into cards that have been staked onto a mage wagon for conflicts. So you no longer will have to unstake all of your cards to combine them and get a cooldown on the cards from restaking. The Brawl rewards have been adjusted per the past DAO proposal, basically removing the Crown and Merits bonus for the top 3 and removing the reduction for brawls with less than 10 guilds. Also, a couple minor updates. Fixed a small issue where the redirect was not correct on tech modernization pages during maintenance, and it was trying to go to a wrong page. And potion usage will now be returned in the transaction results when you claim your seasonal and focus rewards. So you can see how many potions were actually used in each transaction, which will be coming to the UI soon, maybe not to the next update, depending on what we get done before tomorrow. There's also a couple things that may or may not be in the release pending a final QA session tomorrow. The majority of the shop pages have been moved over to vNext. We will be doing some final QA on that, and depending if we feel it's ready to go out or not, that may go out Tuesday. So we'll move all of the shop over to the tech modernization client. And I think those are all the high points. We've got a lot of stuff queued up to go out. And hopefully it'll be a good update for everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's basically like mostly tons of quality of life changes. I'm especially excited about the multi option for the market stuff because that's a real pain. Now I know obviously there's third party markets like Peak Monsters and them that have that ability, but for the players who use the game site, that'll be a big win. And there's some of the things where that we've gotten in were governance proposals that we're putting into place and updating the proposal system itself, so the pre-proposals can be on the site. All good stuff. And obviously, like that's only the stuff that's going out. The team has been working behind the scenes on land and the player experience changes and things like that, which I will get to in a little bit after we go to Nate the Great to hear update on the creative front.
Yeah, and I mean, just to ride Harry's coattails, like sometimes I'll go in Discord and I'll hear comments like, "Oh, the dev team's so slow," and I'm like, "Crap, dang! Did you just hear?" Like usually Tuesdays or every other Tuesday, there's like Harry's going over a long list of things that were quality of life stuff and things we're updating and all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's like we're keeping it going. We're keeping it going, guys. I think it's common. It's common sense that the big stuff takes time, but in between all the big stuff, we're still, I see all the dev team and the support team and creative side, of course, and all everyone on the team, from day to day operations. When I'm in a meeting, it's like they're going nose to the grindstone. We're getting stuff cranked out. Stuff is getting done. Um, some of it is just little stuff, but all that little stuff piles up, and that's what's creates ultimately a nice, polished, beautiful UX experience, and that's what I think everybody wants, right? That's what we're striving for in 2024. Is how can we, stop MVPing this thing, and how can we like create a polished, beautiful product that we're all proud of? And that's just part of it. It takes time to get that stuff done, and you don't have to wait long. It happens on a weekly basis. if or maybe a biweekly basis now. But speaking to that, actually, I'll ride the coattails even further. I'll say that I know that the creative side has been uh, looking at the Discord channel for UX, and there's a lot of great stuff on there. In fact, I wrote down before the town hall started. I want to give mad props to. Let me see. Here are some UI little quality of life tweaks that we have pushed in over to the engineering side for implementation. No promises on what that stuff gets done, but the baton has been handed, and hopefully in the upcoming weeks, Harry will be adding one of those things to the list, and it's because of you guys who are helping collaborate and partnering with us to make the game better. So I want to shout out to Jedi Elf. At one point in Discord, the UX channel, he asked for a USD value be added to the DEC transfer screen. And not only did we, make that tweak to the UI, but we added some little min max percentage buttons on top of that, and we pushed that along. So hopefully we see that happening. We more than one person asked for better navigation for conflicts. They're like, well, what can we do to get to conflicts easier to explain to a new player, um, what that is. So we made the banner at the top of the shot page a little bit more prominent, added a button, made it so that you don't have to scroll down the page looking for what button to figure out how to get to conflicts. So again, little tweak because of you guys. Matt Two Castles Clark at one point he suggested, hey, it would be nice to know when a card is ready to be leveled up on the collection screen. Or maybe you're in the marketplace and you're like, wait a minute, how many copies of the card did I need? Crap, I don't remember how many buy. Um, Tyler, our UI designer, ran with that one, and he kind of tweaked that, and we passed it over, and we're waiting for feedback from engineering to say whether we're crazy or not. But I think that the final output of that is going to be a better product because of that suggestion. Mark Jason is yet another player in the community. Asked for next and previous navigation between plots. So when you're on the plot view and land, can I just click an arrow to get to the next plot? Do I have to really back out and back in again looking for the right plot? So that's something else we took to heart. So and I'm sure there's more, but those are the ones I jotted down before the town hall. I wanted to give a digital high five to those folks for helping us to help you. I think that's a beautiful and magical thing to see happen. And there's more on the way. If you didn't hear your suggestion mentioned just now, that doesn't mean we've ignored it or that we haven't worked on it. It just hasn't maybe been passed to engineering quite yet for whatever reason, maybe because it needed more time in the oven. So just keep in mind, we do read the Discord UX channel. And it behooves you to, if you have a great idea or suggestion, go in there, toss it in there. And that's something that I talk to the design team on a weekly basis. We review what's on there, what's been added to the list, and whether it makes sense for us to do it right now. What else did Harry mention? Oh, the combat rules. So Harry, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 combat rules for which we have graphics that we forwarded along. How are all of those going in, or just a few of them?
Just one of them.
All right.
I can
So,
send you the image on Slack real quick if you'd like.
oh, okay, yeah, yeah. All right, yeah. Send
Please,
it to me
sure.
so that let me see. And then while he's doing that, I want to let you guys know that last town hall, you guys made the comment that like, hey, what about land? Like you guys are all just talking about new player experience. Did you guys stop land? Is it going the way of the dodo? Is it like freaking Soul Keep and it's in this limbo land or something? Like, no, 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 don't worry. Even though we focused last town hall on the new player experience, doesn't mean we paused on land. So I'll talk a little bit more about land on this one. Okay, there you go. I got the idea. Oh, that okay, come on. That's an easy one to figure out.
What the rule
Um
set is, but what the name of it's going to be is
oh, the name of it. Okay. All right. Here is the combat rule that Harry is suggesting we share with you guys, and you guys can try to figure out what we're gonna. Oh shoot! I put the name in the file name. It won't. Here, let me rename it real quick. Okay. We'll call this one Combat Rule mystery. There we go. Now I'll share it. Okay. There we go. That is processing. Discord's processing. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. So that is an upcoming combat rule. And yes, I did say that we had pushed along like 5 different combat rule graphics to engineering. So this might be the first of many new combat rules that you see. I think that they probably got to go through internal QA testing to see if some of these combat rules make sense. But once they do, then they're, expect more innovative new tactics and strategy options in your ranked play.
Oh, sorry. I think Claiborne he wins the name guessing contest.
Reach out.
I think we might have to
Really?
go with that.
I okay. Well, you're the CEO, so I will defer to you on that one. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Creative. What's creative working on? Do you guys want to see some land stuff? One of the things that crap, I didn't even Roy worked so hard because he was trying to make some tweaks to the autofill. Autofill was something we had really wanted desperately to launch with 1.5, and we just didn't have the time. And I asked for some tweaks and some changes recently, and he hurried up and tried to get them done in time for the town hall so I could screenshot and share. But I forgot to screenshot it. So, but just know that it looks cool. From what I've seen, lots of sliders and filters and things that we could do to make your lives easier, especially if you're a big whale who owns a ton load of land and you want to kind of like set your parameters for how you want autofill to operate. Whether you want to fill up your next batch of land cards with common and rares, or epic and legendaries, or what set, or all kinds of things. The last time it was played, maybe you want to set the parameters for that as well. Whatever it is you might be, we have a great autofill settings that's being pushed along the engineering. So but here's something that I did screenshot. I didn't forget to do. We are in the midst of redesigning the cool leaderboard that Farpatra did. He ran on, said, "Hey, you know what? This would be a good idea. Or maybe the community was asking for it." And he just pushed it out, and out it came, and it looks good. But we thought, hey, can we design it a little bit better? And while we're doing so, add the prefix titles. So here's a sneak peek at maybe some of what the screen might end up looking like. Once that gets implemented, you'll notice that one of the tabs is prefix titles, and you guys will finally get those prefix titles, hopefully sooner rather than later, so that you guys can, social flex, but even maybe more importantly, get those ranked play rewards for the research leaderboard stuff. What else? I have. Well, some of this stuff I'm going to show you guys is I deliberately went out of my way to look for some really rough, sketchy stuff because I feel like, hey, land is going to take a little while. I don't want to just dump everything on you guys right now. So even though there are some polished things that are getting finalized, you guys are going to have to keep watching town halls to see the cooler stuff. But I wanted to allow you guys to partake and just be part of the journey of what it takes to kind of like on the creative side figure some of this stuff out. Like for example, here's a screenshot from our digital whiteboard where we kind of like come together and add notes and try to figure stuff out. This is some of the concept work for some of the refined metallic bars that'll be produced for land. And so we're trying to look at color. We're trying to look at the design on the bars. We're trying to look at different ways to distinguish the bars from other bars, so that at a glance you could say, "Oh, I know what that is. That's a blah blah bar." Um, Same thing with gems. Now this one, I think it's a ruby. But this is less sketchy, but sure, I'll share it. I can't guarantee that any of this stuff is gonna actually stay looking this way. But if you guys remember from some of the white paper stuff, the gemstones will allow you to kind of like, you might have different vibrancy or brightness or clarity. You might be able to get different rarities that make the gemstone better So you can see here that that kind of like progression from a dull gem to something that is bright and amazing to look at. And then finally, trying to see what else I could share. Here, I'll show you some sketchy building art. I'm going to start off with basics. So here's a farm. Here's some ideas that we're tossing around for what a farm might end up looking like as it levels up. So you can see kind of like, similar to what we did with guild buildings, uh, unlike the work sites that you currently have in 1.5, these buildings you'll be able to construct and they'll look cooler. And of course, they'll require more resources as you level them up. But we wanted a sense of accomplishment. We wanted people to feel like, yes, I've hit a milestone. My building looks so much better than your building. And then here's the same thing for a logging camp. So you can kind of see uh, the uh, the concept there for a logging camp. So hopefully that gives you guys an idea that, hey, yes, we're not ignoring land. Um, Currently, right now, I think I was at a meeting earlier where I was talking to the devs about the DEC grain market and and starting work on that. Now that we have the bones uh, built, or rather designed, for the layout to kind of get that going. So for those of you who've been chomping at the bit to kind of like, hey, when the heck is the player to player market for DEC and grain happening? Well, it's hopefully I know Matt wants it ASAP, so we're trying to get that finalized and out the door. So we'll see how long that takes, but I'm excited to see that because I'm one of those people. I'd love to start trading on the market. We're calling it the let me think in the UI. I think we're calling it the trade hub for the exchange of goods and resources. I think yeah, I think that's good enough. It gives people an idea that yes, we're still working on land.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you have that handy, I don't, but
Yeah,
if you do,
I sent you.
oh, you did. Well, I don't have to be the one to share it here. You could share stuff too.
No one else is allowed to share any artwork, Nate.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me download it real quick. There we go. Uh, Let's see. Okay, tower, avatar. All right. So for those of you who did buy packs and qualified for now we're not talking about the title here, although I believe that's being worked on. We did give engineering the icon, I think, and the name of the
Yep,
title
that
for
should be
Soulkeep.
going out next
Awesome.
Tuesday.
So the avatar is a cosmetic thing that was part of the pre-sale as well. So Harry has been championing, making sure that we, fulfill the past promises. Even though Soul Keep's not out, there are certain things that will. What can we get to the players? And Harry's been great about that. I mean, every time I'm, in a meeting and Soul Keep got, you have him to thank for getting some of this stuff to you guys so that you don't have to wait for the actual Soul Keep release. So here is a new avatar option for those who participated and qualify. You're able to swap out your current in-game avatar for that cool looking guy. So that's cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. I mean, we got to find some way to incorporate that with Rooney also, because I think with all the Avatar stuff, the like future Avatar stuff you showed last town hall, I think the idea is eventually, we're going to have these more customizable avatars and not just a single image. So you'll
Yeah,
be able
yeah.
to like, combine a lot of different elements, a lot of different things in the game into your full avatar to show off more than one thing at a time. But for now, those of you who bought the required, I think 500 Soul Key packs will be getting this cool avatar, which I believe we're planning to make tradable and sellable also in the non-card market. So that'll be just a cool additional asset to have out there.
Yeah. And then I think we had talked about uh that at some point in the future, if we do the customizable avatars, that maybe this avatar here for Soulkeep could be redeemed or converted or something so that you you have some sort of hat or shirt or some sort of mark on your avatar that is unique. Um, once we turn to that new system, so yeah, that I think that'll work great.
All right. Well, thank you, Nate. The land buildings look cool. I also want to apologize that we did not talk about land on the last town hall. I mean, those of you who remember, we with conflicts and talking about all the player experience stuff. We had a lot to cover on the last town hall. So it was not that there's nothing going on with land. It's just we didn't really have time to get to it at that time. And I got a number of messages that apparently by the end of the last town hall, I was talking at like a million miles a minute there, as I was trying to finish up on time, because I had another thing to go to. But yeah, so it is not because we stopped working on land. It is just because we had a lot of stuff going on for the last town hall. Um, so you know, I have a list of things I want to talk about before we get to the questions. Um, First is I noticed, some people saw a YouTube video that I did with, a different community, like an AMA on Splinterlands. So this is one of the things I've been doing a bit more, and you can expect a few more of those type of videos to be coming out with different influencers in the space. And initially we kind of talked about the plan for 2024 is we're working on the player experience, which includes the current existing player experience and new player onboarding. And my thought was that once that's done and we have this all to a really good state, we go out and really push marketing and promotion heavily, which is still the plan and still what I'd like to do. But in the meantime, it was kind of suggested that it may be a good idea to go out to existing crypto communities, people who are into DeFi, crypto gaming, that type of stuff. And let them know about these plans, like that. We're really planning to do a large marketing and promotional push later in the year. We're planning on making the whole experience a lot easier for people to get into and understand, because people who are already into the crypto space and the crypto gaming space, may want the opportunity to get in before that happens, right? That's where often a lot of the opportunity lies. So I thought that was a good idea. Um, and I took advantage of some opportunities to go on and kind of promote, what we're doing, and the fact that we are going to really be, doing some big marketing and promotional pushes in the not too distant future for the people who might be interested in coming in now before there's all the polish and before the experience is where we want it. The people who will spend, hours trying to learn this, and put in the effort, they have an opportunity, just like all of you who are already here, to get in and get the assets before hopefully the next big rush comes in, assuming also that we have another crypto bull market at some point over the next year or two. So, keep a lookout for those videos. We'll also post them probably in the official announcements, and re X them on X. I don't know what you call that these days. Retweet them on X. Um, and it'd be great for our community to go also support those influencers and content creators that are having me on to talk about Splinterlands. So I guess we'll talk a little bit more about land. Obviously, you just saw some cool upcoming stuff from Nate. You heard about some things that are coming out, and with the next update from Investigator. Um, at a high level, though, like the DEC grain market is still the highest priority. My understanding is that the functionality for it is all built. It all works. All the different operations. So you can do the adding liquidity, removing liquidity, trading, all that stuff. And as Nate mentioned, we're just building out the front end user interface for it, which is often the quicker piece once the designs are done. So my hope is that that can be out in the relatively near future, and I know that's a really big deal. Behind that, we're also doing the prefix titles that I know people are waiting for, um, and then we're going to be working on the ability to use delegated cards on land, so cards that are delegated to you, and then also updating the card rental market as it's explained in the white paper to allow people to mark cards as being available for rent for land. So hopefully we'll be able to see some rental market activity for land. as well. And in addition, we're just cleaning up things, bug fixes, all that stuff. Um, before kind of moving on to the next pieces. So that's what's going on with land right now, and we're still working on all the details behind phase 2. Nate and the creative team are working on the art and assets and everything for phase 2. So that's all still moving forward. Um, one of the things I also wanted to mention about land is I heard from a number of people in the community that it's been really a big problem for a lot of people, especially smaller landholders who typically have, a few plots. Many of them have them scattered around a number of regions, and people were wondering, why you shouldn't be able to transfer grain to yourself in between regions without a fee. So, and the answer is I'm not sure. I mean, so that could go either way, and it's something I'm kind of putting out to the community to say, to get feedback on what people think. Would it be better to allow players to transfer grain between regions, as long as it's to their same account without a fee, or perhaps do something where it's based on the amount of SPS you have staked. So the more SPS you have staked, the more grain you could transfer between regions without a fee per week or something like that. So at a high level, um, I I do think it is one of those bigger advantages for the whale players, the players who have regions or tracks and all those things. They don't have to deal with these problems, but smaller landholders who are just like slowly accumulating land over time, they're not going to be able to always get land in their same region, and they're often going to have land. I mean, I know a bunch of people who are in this situation where they're like kind of slowly accumulating land plots, and then they're all over the place. And that it just makes it very difficult. So that's something we're going to try to kind of open up to the community to get ideas or thoughts or opinions. It's just something we're looking at for making land easier and I guess more equitable for players that have different types of setups. Um, Moving into the player experience stuff that we talked about last time, we're making really, really good progress on that. A lot of the things that we discussed, the whole kind of like going back to basics, to use a rule set term for how the whole ranked battle system works, is underway, and that includes kind of removing all the leagues and the league limits and leaderboards and just making it a much more simple system for moving up through the leagues. And the goal is really just it's very simple. As uh, we want to always incentivize people to move up. In no cases should it ever be bad to move up in rating. There should be no way to stay in lower ratings or in lower leagues. Um, and the rating system, we're planning on removing the ELO system, or ELO. I don't know if that's an acronym. Actually, I think it's named after someone. So I guess it's ELO, and not ELO. So removing the ELO system and just you get a fixed amount of rating increase or decrease on a win or loss respectively. And again, the point of this is to make the rating system accurate. I think a lot of the problems in our system right now are based on the fact that with all these other weird things of people like choosing to stay in lower leagues and all these different things that we have in place, make it so that the rating system isn't very accurate and we're not able to actually match people up with good opponents, which causes all sorts of problems in the system. So the idea is to simplify, remove all the artificial barriers we've added, and allow people to just very simply move up or down based on how much they're winning or losing, and then we'll be able to match people with better opponents. It'll make the game more fair. It'll incentivize things properly. It'll be much better. So that's well underway. So we can look for that in the relatively near future. One of the things, though, I wanted to talk about, which again is an idea at this point. It's not 100%, but I prefer to share things with the community as early as possible to get feedback. And if anyone listening has feedback on these things, my DMs are always open. I'm not always able to respond, but I typically try to read everything that comes in when I get time. So one of the things we were trying to fix is the whole reward chest system. It's again not great how you might go from getting 10 reward chests a day in bronze 1, and then you get into silver 3. And even though you're getting silver chests, which are better than bronze chests, you're getting far fewer of them. So it feels like you're getting less, and that's what we want to avoid in this new system. We want it to always be clearly more that you're getting. Um, and I think it was Call Me Tim actually that had the suggestion that maybe we just, when you win battles you get reward points, which is what, once you get to a certain threshold of reward points you get a chest. But instead his idea was that we just let you accumulate reward points, which you could then spend in a reward shop. So a new tab in the shop page where you could spend those reward points as often or as little as you want. You could, hoard them for a while and then spend them all at once. And then it would give you actually more choice as to what rewards you want to buy. So there may be an option to purchase a random reward card if you specifically want a reward card. And there might be different, like, the lowest option might have mostly commons and rares, and then there could be a much more expensive higher option that has a higher chance for legendaries and gold foils and things like that. There could be options for you to purchase like a mystery chest, right? That could have SPS or various other things. Um, so I think it's good for a lot of reasons. I mean, one, as you move up in rating and the ranked battle system, you get more reward points. So there's again always incentive to move up. It's always better to have a higher rating, and then it gives players more choice as to what they buy and when they want to buy it. And some people, when we talked about this internally, were like, well, players may just hoard all their reward points until the new set of Soulbound reward cards come out, so they could get a whole bunch of the new reward cards right away. Implying that that was sort of a bad thing or an exploit. But when I thought about it, that seemed to be a fine thing and a good option for players. So if players decide, maybe they have enough of the current reward cards, or or they just wanna wait. It's an equal opportunity for everyone. No one has an advantage that anyone else doesn't. But you could potentially just hoard your reward points for months at a time, and then as soon as the new reward cards come out, just go buy as many as you can to get them early on. And I think things like that are actually kind of cool. And just the overall concept of giving players more choice of what they do with their rewards. The analogy is kind of like you go to an arcade or something where you get tickets for the different games, and then you go redeem them in the reward shop. And it's also the situation where players in the lower leagues who aren't getting as many reward points, they could choose, do they want a bunch of cheaper rewards, or do they want to save up for that legendary card pack or something, or the thing that has the higher chance of a legendary. So that's an idea we've been floating around. I'm working on some of the math and the numbers to make sure it works out. But that's an idea that we're looking at there for the rewards. But at a high level, that whole ranked battle overhaul that we've been talking about is coming along pretty well, and I look forward to that kind of launching in the somewhat near future. We don't have a date. We're not going to do dates anymore, but it's coming along very well. And again, I'll just reiterate that, like, once we do that, if it's not working, we're not just going to leave it, and that's it. So like everything we do is an experiment. We're going to try it. Um, I think by having a simpler system, I'm sure there's going to be some type of exploits or things we didn't consider. That's always the case. But by having a simpler system, I feel like those things are easy or to identify, or at least identify the root cause, and easier to fix. So I'm also looking forward to that, and not having, well, is it because of this thing or these 7 other different weird rules, like artificial limitations that we have on the ranked system. So that's where we are with the player experience updates from the new player onboarding side of things. I know Nate and the creative team are still hard at work on that. He shared a ton of stuff last time, so we're not going to go into that more, but we're still just like working on how is the tutorial going to work? What are we going to do with starter cards? Are we even going to have starter cards anymore? We had a long discussion internally about the whole idea of one-click set rentals, which I think is one of the biggest and most important pieces of all this. So that's something that's being kind of designed out, how that's going to work. But again, the idea is that new players come in, they kind of go through the tutorial process, the onboarding process, and instead of just throwing them into bronze and getting destroyed, we're going to say click here, spend your credits that you get as part of the spellbook purchase, and we will automatically in one button click rent you a decent collection of cards that will allow you to be pretty competitive. And that's really cheap. I mean, it's honestly something I think Royal was doing some research on this, and something like less than 15 cents a day, you can get a very decent like bronze level collection of all the Chaos Legion cards, which is more than sufficient to do pretty well, especially at the very beginnings of the game. And that's like super super cheap. And I expect as we make it very easy for new players coming in to click a button and rent that entire set, and hopefully as we start doing more promotion and marketing later on throughout the year, and more people are going to be coming in and renting those, it's going to push those rental prices up, which is exactly what the idea is and what we want to see. So right now, I feel like there's a bit of an arbitrage opportunity in how cheap the rentals are, um, and we're going to hopefully close that by just making it easier to do and getting more new people into the game. So that's one of this entire project. That's one piece that I'm particularly excited about. Uh, the last thing I kind of wanted to talk about, just mention again, is we're still planning a card burn event, which is hopefully in Q1 of this year. Still working on figuring out the details, but I do plan to submit a governance proposal for that for two things. One is to ask the DAO to fund the development of it, similar to what we did for Rebellion. Because one of the things we kind of have planned out in our we plan out like a business plan of revenue and expenses for the year, and one of the things we include is promo card sales. And so the idea is that instead of us selling a promo card and getting revenue, which we need to run the business, we plan to put out one or potentially more promo cards as part of this card burn event. So you burn like older cards or existing cards that you have for chances to get these new cards. But since the company would essentially be giving up revenue for that, we're going to ask the DAO to shoulder some of that for us. And then the second thing is to ask the DAO to provide some Rift Watchers packs that it has as additional rewards to encourage lots of card burning. And then, some of the other things are, I think, I'd like to allow also DEC burning at a lower rate. Like you get fewer points, but you can burn DEC for players who may not have cards and just want to burn DEC, to have that be an option. And possibly even burning of vouchers. We still have a lot of vouchers in the system. There's still not a ton of uses for them, or there's a lot of uses, but not to take the amount that's in circulation or to make a dent in it. And I know we have planned many, many, many uses for vouchers going forward, but I think throwing those in as an option for the burn event might be a good way to go through a bunch of them in the near future. So keep a lookout for that proposal. Assuming you like the idea, I hope that the community supports the proposal, because without it, I don't know that we'll be able to do this event, or we'll have to do it somehow differently. But that's just a quick update on that. Uh, and then I would like to get to questions. So before we go to questions in the chat, we have the pre-sorted questions. There's only a small list of those, so hopefully we'll go through those relatively quickly, and then we'll go to audience questions. All right, let me just pull that up here. So the first question is about multiple languages. Sorry, here we go. Are multiple languages, and there are a bunch listed, going to be available with the new player experience build out? And if it's a cost issue, would it be an appropriate opportunity for the DAO to assist? That is a good question. I don't know, Investigator, do you have any updates or as far as VNext and translations go?
Yeah, we do support it, but we haven't populated out all of the language libraries. It's in the backlog, like many things. I believe our focus is going to be getting everything converted, getting everything to work on mobile on the website without needing to do anything weird. Um, and then we're going to probably start looking at better localization and translation, hopefully. So
But
it
is it?
probably won't be in the short term new player stuff, but if the DAO wants to fund it, maybe we can afford to pay for additional translation services. But
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely not at the top of the priority list, but my understanding is it will be supported in hopefully all the new pages in the tech modernization. So is it just a matter of we just need the actual translation files?
pretty much, and to make sure that we put in to use translation
I would be
appropriately.
curious of if like as a company, or at least on the creative side, we're very careful about how we utilize AI, because it's, we're going to be careful about our IP and all that and legal protection, all that good stuff. But this seems like one of those situations where, wow, maybe, if there's some sort of AI language translator, that would be pretty cool. Maybe we can, expand the number of languages that we are able to offer.
Yeah, I mean, typically the bottleneck hasn't been around getting the text translated. Um, it's been more around making sure that the website is coded in such a way to use the translations. So I do think that's something, maybe we can just keep in mind and try to make sure we do as we're converting all these pages.
Yeah, there's also some concerns about sizing, and that in some different languages, things are much longer on the page than they are in
Mm,
English. So we
yeah, yeah,
might
yeah.
need to take a look at the phrasing, or how things translate out. But it is something that we should probably get to in as we get stuff done with our tech modernization.
Yeah, yeah, definitely the later end, having a up to date working mobile app in English would be the first step, I think. But good question to whoever submitted that. Uh, Question about artwork, probably for Nate. Based on the artwork, I think it's pretty clear that Torch Myrmidon's hair is supposed to be made of fire. That's less obviously true of Torch Vizier, whose hair looks more like physical hair and doesn't have bits of flame coming out of it. Can you settle a bet between my friend and I? Is Torch Vizier's hair made of actual fire, just colored like fire, or something in between?
Wow. Um, that's a good question.
One,
So
one of my
just
favorites.
let me see. So just so everyone knows what the heck is being discussed. So this is Torch Myrmidon, and this is Torch Vizier. Um, so I'm curious. What do you think, Matt? Do you think? Um, I guess the
I gotta pull them up here. I haven't looked
Yeah.
at them
We'll link up to
closely.
Lauren right here live on camera.
so the one on the top that I just shared, clearly this guy's head is on fire. He either poured gasoline on his head, or something, or his hair is naturally on fire. And the woman who I shared right after that one, um, it's not quite as clear whether that is just very vibrant hair, or she actually has the fire hair too. What is your opinion on that?
I think it looks like very vibrant hair. I've never seen flame do that. Now, obviously, these people have magical control of flame, so maybe they can style their flame hair. Maybe there's some product that makes the flame look like real hair. But otherwise, maybe it's just hair that's made to look like flame.
Well, let's see. I think in the lore, it describes at least one of them as a cinder elf. So I would assume they're both cinder elves, in which case they're the same race, serving the Efreet of that kingdom, which I believe is I have to look up how to pronounce it, but essentially, yeah, I'm gonna have to ask Joey and Dan on the narrative team uh, about that one, and I will definitely share the answer to that so we can resolve this bet. But huh. It could be that the guy on top is just a crazy maniac and he set his hair on fire and it's not supposed to be naturally on fire, but I guess we'll see. I'll find out. I'll ask
All
the
right.
team.
That's a good question, though. These are important things,
Yeah, that is important.
that are good to know. I didn't even know this is something that I wanna know, but now I do. Um, all right, now getting into soulbound cards. Whatever the cost for unlocking soulbound cards is, can we make sure there's something in the cost that makes it more efficient to have combined BCX rather than having accumulated all one BCX copies? So that when I was reading through these questions before the show is a really good point that I did not consider. And all these things are why we have not come out and said this is what we're doing for soulbound cards, because I feel like it's not happening immediately anyway. The plan is to wait until the next set is released, which is going to be a little while. So I don't want to rush these things. The more time we spend talking about them, we get more good ideas, and that may change what we end up going with. And I feel like, again, in the past we have rushed some of these decisions out, and they haven't been as good as they could be. So that's why I'm talking about it, but we're not coming out and saying this is what it's going to be. We're in the process of collecting all these good ideas, thinking things through, um, and looking at data and other information, and hopefully ending up with the best thing for the long term value of the cards and the assets. So again, I don't have the indicated who submitted these, but that is a good idea that is now going to be considered, because I agree that players who just you know collect and don't combine the cards, uh, that's not as valuable to the game, to the ecosystem, as players who combine the cards and use them. And that this is a good way we can sort of reflect that. Second soulbound cards question. Since unlocking the cards is a very controversial issue, have you thought on alternative mechanics and ways for people to utilize extra reward cards they have? For example, there's games where you get too much of a single thing, you can burn that thing into some sort of dust. So I'm not going to read the whole rest of the thing, because I'm going to say that yes, 100%. We have had specific discussions of allowing players to burn soulbound reward cards for some type of dust that they could use to mint other soulbound reward cards that they want. Obviously, it would be like kind of a lossy process, so it wouldn't be one to one. And not just for soulbound cards, we were thinking that about that for gladiator cards too. So that's something I'm glad was brought up, and something again I put out to the community for players to kind of think about and comment on. If they'd like a dust system for any soulbound types of cards. I do think it's good because it really just sucks if you happen to get the worse cards, and other people just happen to get the better cards. There's really nothing you can do about that, and it is an impediment to how good you can do in the game through no fault of your own. Um, so having a dust system that again isn't one to one still makes it you know still makes it better to just get the cards, and the randomness is still there, and there's still benefits. You can get lucky or not lucky, but it still makes it not as bad where you're just stuck with a bunch of extra cards you don't need. You can use that to get the cards you want. So I do like the idea. It has been discussed. um, and so we'll see if that's something we can get in, and that would be something that could be done and happen unrelated to the soulbound cards being able to be unlocked. uh, and then
I
I've
really like
also
the idea
yeah,
of
go ahead.
the dust and the point system thing kind of like merging. Like I think that would be cool. I would be like, because I some people in Discord brought it up. Kind of my initial thoughts and feelings about the point system too was like, uh, you kind of have that adrenaline rush when you get the reward right away when you hit that milestone or unlock the achievement. Chest opens like, oh, I get stuff, and then being able to take that stuff that you want and keep it, and take the stuff you don't want and convert it into the new points or the dust system, so you can go to the store and get something else that you want. I feel like that might be the best of both worlds. Like that sounds pretty cool to me. But who knows? Who knows where we're going to end up?
Yeah,
But yeah.
no, I agree. We have to be a little careful if you can like dust cards and then buy other rewards with it. Because the exploiter is going to exploit. I guess not exploit, but the people are going to try to find any ways that they can to to take things that are soulbound and turn them into things that can be sold. So we
Yeah.
have to be a little careful about that stuff. But I do agree, like that it does kind of make sense if you're getting these cards as rewards. And we're moving to if we do move to a reward point system with like a reward shop, then you could just dust them for points back to go spend in the shop. Would be cool. And then the gladiator cards would probably have to be separate. I don't think we want people dusting gladiator cards to buy soulbound reward cards and vice versa. Um, but we'll see. But yeah, so and there's also mention about other things and how it could be combined with guild buildings and voucher sinks and land and all these things. And yeah, so that's the type of stuff we are also uh, considering, just how we can utilize how players can utilize excess soulbound cards for all those different things and how we can incorporate guilds, land, vouchers into them. Um, Third and final soulbound reward card question, or at least final from the pre-sorted questions. Uh, I get the point of not flooding the market with a lot of cards, but please follow my point. Taking into consideration Rebellion multiplier is wrong. Rebellion price is just the price of a recently released set. Hopefully, thanks to conflicts and pack burn, that price will stay constant in time. But it's a fact that once cards are moving to wild, they lose a part of utility, hence the lower price. So I think again, I'm not going to read the whole long thing, but I get the concept is that since by the time you will be able to unlock the first set of soulbound reward cards, they may not have as much life left in modern. Um, it may not need the same cost as new rebellion cards do now that have a very long life in modern. And I do agree with that also. So one of the things I wanted to be clear about after the last call is that we weren't saying like for sure that it will cost 18x 18 times the collection power to unlock reward cards. I was saying that was kind of like the base that we were going to use to start. So like with everything from an economy standpoint, the way I work at least is that you kind of pick like a starting point, like a fixed thing that like something like uh, DECs are worth or intended to be worth 1,000 for $1, and then you kind of build everything off that. That's just an example. So my starting point was that the cards that we offer into the game cost on average 18 times collection power, and that is our like starting point for how we are going to eventually figure out what the unlock cost will be. So it may very well be less than that for a number of reasons. One is the reason that was just specified is that those cards won't have as much life left in modern. Another reason is, well, I guess it's a reason that they might be more is that you can pick which cards you would want to do, which makes it sort of more valuable because when you buy a pack, you can't pick which cards you get, obviously. Um, but on the flip side, you've also put in work, right? So that it's not just the cost. You've done the work. You have the assets. You've played the battles in order to earn those cards. So that's some cost that's already been sunk into them. So it's not. I did not say last time that it would be 18x. Just that was the base level that we're kind of starting from, and then we're going to take all these other things into account to come up with hopefully a really good system that just works well. Again, the goal is not really to make as many people happy right now. Um, the goal is to make as many people happy as possible over the long term, over the next number of years, and that's a big difference. If we wanted to uh, just make everyone super happy right now, except for the people who really understand this and they're in this for the long term, we would just give out more stuff for less. But that over the long term leads to problems. So my goal is to, I say like increase the value of assets in the ecosystem over the long term. That's to that my assumption is that would make the most people happy who are part of this ecosystem over the long term. Um, that's the thinking here. So just to be clear again, did not say that it will be 18x, just that's the starting uh, value that we're going to use. Okay, so now it is time to turn it over to questions from the chat, both YouTube and Discord. I don't know if we have Twitch. I only see YouTube things. But so we're just YouTube and Discord.
Twitch is included on there. There's just not any chat coming through yet.
Okay, well, Twitch is included, I've been told. So if anyone's on there, you can post questions there, and I will try to get to them. I'm mostly going to focus on Discord. And Ron, I'll pause every once in a while, or you can just jump in and tell me if there's any YouTube questions that I'm missing. All right, the first question, let's see, here we go. Fat Jimmy, will the gray market be one big market slash LP, or will there be different markets per region? One big market. We originally were thinking of different markets per region, or even different markets per territory, and I guess it's always possible that that could change at some point in the future. But for now, and even the plan for phase 2 is one big market. It just gets really way too crazy, I think, with there's going to be so many markets when in phase 2 when we have like 50 resources. It's going to get a little nuts to have 50 markets in even 7 different regions. But again, we're going to try this out first with the grain DEC market. We'll see how it goes, and if it turns out that it's better to have separate markets, then we can do that. And then the second part of that question, will we be able to buy, say, a single needed BCX to add to our soulbound card without having to pay to unlock the entire card in order to level it up? Especially if we want to keep the max card soulbound. Yeah, that's a good question. So the goal that we plan to build, or at least I have in my mind, I don't know that we've talked about this much yet internally, but that you'll be able to purchase an unlocked like a 1 BCX unlocked soulbound card and combine it with your soulbound card, and then we'll that'll all be kept track of in the back end. So if you want to unlock that say max level card later, it'll know that 1 BCX of that max level card has already been paid to unlock, so it'll cost 1 BCX less to do. So you should be able to do exactly what you're asking. Question from Dimmer Object: with the 20x higher battle volume in Wild, leading to many more chests being earned, it's clear that a majority of SPS from chests is being drained via mostly bots and a few players in Wild, while modern players suffer from low battle volume and lesser returns, lower morale, etc. Well, so no, the reward pools are separate. So there's a fixed amount of SPS that's available at each league in Wild, and a fixed amount of SPS available at each league in Modern. Is that
The
Harry?
focus and seasonal chests are their own pool of SPS, which is there's no such thing as a wild or modern chest. So there's just focus chests and season chests. So everything shares the same pool of SPS for chest rewards.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So I was thinking of just the SPS rewards from winning battles. So that is a very good point. And I guess the part of the question is, how soon can we direct resources to fixing this? And it's now. This is all part of like the whole ranked rework that we're talking about as part of the player experience. Is like just the way things are lead to a lot of weird problems like this. So I don't have a specific answer of how that's all going to work yet, but this is like we're reworking the entire ranked battle system, which includes the rewards. And as part of all this, we want to make it so that players who are not bot armies are not getting taken advantage of by bot armies. Like again, bots are allowed in modern, in wild, and that's fine. We just need to make sure they don't have advantages. So that's something that's like part of the whole rework we're doing right now. Question from Intrepid Surfer: could we link the burning event to the BTC halving day? Yeah, I guess my initial plan was that we were going to do it in Q1, which would not be BTC halving, is I think around April 20th. But since we haven't really done much work on it yet, other than kind of design and thought, it may make sense to wait a month. I do think it would be great to do another halving event. We did the Halfling Alchemist, and I thought that was pretty cool. So might make sense to just wait 1 month on that. Otherwise, I think it would be cool. Even if we do that in Q1, we would plan to do another like promo card type deal in Q2, and then that could be around the halving event. So I think it would be great to do something around that. That should be a pretty exciting time for anyone in the crypto space. Johan CR is asking, when can we expect the full LAN 2.0 white paper to be out? Very good question, and I apologize. I have dropped the ball on that. There's been a lot of stuff going on, and I just need to finish that up. I mean, it's like it's finished with the content of it. It just needs to be like cleaned up and put out. So thank you for the reminder. I'm going to try to get that out as soon as I can. Um, Question from Jedi Elf: will the card burning event include guild points as a reward? Um, I was not planning on it. I know we did that last time, and my thinking this time was like instead of the guild points, we would have a promo card. So, and there would be, it would potentially be something like a rare promo card. So there would be a lot of them available. So like a lot more prizes. And my thinking was, I guess that a lot of people already had a lot of guild points, potentially more than they need from the first one. But if that's not the case, and people would really prefer guild points and potentially fewer prizes, we can consider that. I don't see that being a problem. But my thinking was, not guild points, but like a much larger quantity of prizes. Uh, Question from Marshall Bronco: when roadmap? Um, well, I mean, I guess we've sort of been talking about the roadmap. These are all the things we've been talking about. I guess we can just put that down on paper and release it. I don't think it's going to be as detailed as far as like Q1, 2, 3 as we've done in the past, and more like the high level items we're planning to do this year.
New player
And
experience, land 1.6, land 2.0, and whatever else we get time for.
Oh,
yeah, I
there's
mean,
the roadmap.
there's a few more things to throw in there that I don't know when or if or how, exactly when we'll get to. Like getting Soul Keep launched is something that is a big deal and very important to me, and we are very close on a deal there. As I kind of talked about to get someone that can actually come in and launch the game. There's SPS validators, which are very much at least top of mind for me. But obviously those are lower priorities than the things that investigator just mentioned. But yeah, I guess we should try to put that down in some nice looking format to put out to the community. Uh, Question from Clayboyne: how will the ranked rework affect tournament creation? If there's no leagues, we're going to have to consider a tournament overhaul. Uh, no, no, no. So it's not going to affect tournament creation at all. So it's just going to affect ranked. So the tournaments we can still have, like you can still create a silver level tournament, which will still have the silver level caps. Those just won't the those caps won't exist in ranked battles. So there should be no changes. So hopefully, you're not having a heart attack or anything. I know how difficult, reworking the tournaments has been for you. There's no plan to change any of that as part of uh, this update. Let's see. Yeah, just want to remind everyone to please preface their question with the word question in all caps and hopefully bold, or else I may miss it. Rico Kali is asking, will we be able to get Rift Watcher, Chaos Legion, or Rebellion cards as a season or focus reward in the future? I don't know. So, that's something I don't plan to do that. Like, it's not something we as a company plan to do. Those cards are available for purchase. Chaos Legion packs are actually very cheap, but it's the type of thing where the DAO does have a good amount of a lot of those packs. And if the player community chooses to give them out as rewards, they could. But generally, I think it's good to kind of separate the purchasable cards from the reward cards. Again, to not lower the value of the purchasable cards by giving them out for free as rewards, which are more. It's more able to be gamed or farmed. Um, Question from Al Hamil: is there any plan for another format apart from Wild and Modern, as CL cards can't compete with Kitty and Jotun? Um, I haven't planned for another format, or at least not in the near future. And one of the main reasons is just like enough battle liquidity. Sometimes even in Modern now, it's difficult to find a battle. Depending upon what league you're in. So if we make an even another format, it'll split the community even more and the player base. But as if hopefully we are very successful in our campaign later this year to grow the player base, and so we can support more formats, then I'd be much more open to it.
Well, there might be some additional gameplay options that aren't ranked formats, maybe sometime this year, that some people might be working on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so if you're not talking about ranked formats specifically, then yeah, we're always looking at doing kind of more as like gameplay modes, which I guess you can call land in itself an entire new gameplay mode. But yeah, as far as new formats for ranked, I don't want to do it unless we have like a ton more players in the system. Yeah. Oh, great. YouTube question. Uh, oh, I see two questions actually. Uh, the first one is from Paul Taylor. Can you include burning Chaos Legion packs for the burning event or even all past packs? Well, I mean, my thinking was that you just open the packs and burn the cards within them. So yes, I didn't really see a need to burn the packs themselves, since you can just open them and burn them. But I guess if there's a reason that I'm not considering why you can't just open and burn them, and that's fine. That's not adequate. Then maybe we can consider it. Um, oh, and then the other question from Bitcoin Sig: any chance at releasing Soul Keep on Solana and calling it Soul SOL in caps Keep? Uh, sure. We are not doing that. But the other company that we're hoping to have kind of take over and launch the game, or anyone else who wants to take that work and do it, they can go for it. Okay, I'm going to jump back to Discord. Actually, Azaria or Ron, let's cut off the questions at this point. I feel we've had a good amount of time. I know typically these things go for 2 hours. We didn't have as like much big new stuff to talk about this time, so um, it would always help my voice and everything to end it a little bit earlier, every once in a while. Question from Meridorn. When can we expect to have new guild building out? Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good question. A guild rework is again one of those things I've really wanted to do for a really long time, and it just hasn't been up there on the priority list. And it unfortunately still is not up there on the priority list compared to the other things we've talked about. So I don't have an answer, except that I would love to do it if we can. And more than just a new building, like there's a lot of things to be reworked there, in my opinion. Um, Sorry, scrolling.
That was it.
Oh, that was it. Okay.
There's,
Well,
there's one on YouTube, I think. But
yeah. So thank
same
you
one.
everybody for participating. As always, I'm seeing real good numbers up on YouTube, and I appreciate the efforts to kind of get more attention there on external platforms. Like I said, I've been doing more interviews recently on different channels on these other platforms to reach more like of our core target audience, people who might be interested in coming into the game a little before we do all the polish that we're working on and really start promoting it more heavily. And
And
yeah, we have a ton of.
don't
Go
forget
ahead.
to hit that like button. It helps the algorithm and helps deliver the video to more people.
Yeah, absolutely. Any likes and uh, likes on Twitter for our posts and everything, like all that stuff helps. So this is all. These are all. I mean, there's a lot of things that our player base can do to help promote the game, which directly benefits you guys as our player base. And one of the things I should mention, like when I say we're going to do a marketing and promotional push later on in the year, I mean part of that is also going to be like galvanizing our community and utilizing our best asset, which is all of you, to help publish and promote this out to the world. So again, gonna wait until we kind of polish things up and have a really great onboarding experience to take advantage of the new people we get in. But your help is going to be paramount in that.
Yeah, speaking of that, I think this was brought up, was it on Twitter, in the war room, on Discord? I don't remember, but it got brought up about, how to further refine some sense of an ambassador program. Maybe at first it's very simplistic. Maybe it evolves into something more ambitious by the time we're done with the new player experience. But yeah, if you guys have ideas, then all ideas are welcome. And we're just, toss me a DM or toss anyone who's on the town hall right now. Just let us know your ideas and what you think would be a great idea for that kind of thing, because that's where our mind is at right now. Like, how do we, it's 2024, how do we polish this up and get ready to market to new players and retain them, convert them, retain them, and just all be successful together. And that goes hand in hand with possibly some sort of ambassador program. So I'd love to see that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Again, our community is our biggest asset, and that's how we're gonna win, is by utilizing everybody and their talents to their fullest, not just the team. So, clearly we just have a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of irons in the fire. There's a lot of good progress being made. It's always the type of thing where it's like ups and downs. There's like, a period where we are just kind of heads down focusing on building out a lot of stuff. And then it seems like it all ends up being released relatively at the same time, despite that we try to pace it out as much as possible. And so we had that huge push in like the November, December timeframe. Things calmed down a little over the holidays. Now we're going and we're like doing some really major projects that I think are really going to help the game, which include mostly land and the whole player experience thing. And then a little bit down the road, all that stuff is going to start coming out pretty fast and furious. And it's going to be pretty exciting. And then we'll go into the town halls that go past 2 hours. But for the moment, we're going to end a little early today or tonight, depending upon where you are. Thank you, everyone who plays the game and who supports us. And we will talk to you in 2 weeks.
This is a story, the one where we will not accept defeat. This is a